Good evening and welcome to Asia Society. My name is Michelle Yun Maplethorpe and I'm Vice President for Global Artistic Programs and Director of the Asia Society Museum. Thank you for attending the premiere of Fragility Etudes, a performance by Susie Ibarra commissioned by Asia Society Museum, New York for the inaugural Asia Society Triennial We Do Not Dream Alone. This performance is presented in conjunction with Part 2 of the Asia Society Triennial, which is on view through June 27th. The exhibition is free and open to the public, and we welcome you to come for a visit for the final week. Time tickets may be reserved through our website, and Part 1 of the Triennial, which was on view from October 27th, 2020 to February 7th, 2021, and this edition of Part 2 are also available via a virtual walkthrough if you're not able to come through to the museum before the show closes on the 27th. So this evening marks the final performance as part of our triennial program. It was a 6-part virtual programming series that featured performances and films as part of the triennial. Please refer to the Triennial website for more information on this performance and others in the series. The Asia Society Triennial is the first initiative of its kind in the United States, and its structure is a multidisciplinary and multi-venue virtual platform with a mandate to champion contemporary Asian and Asian American artists within a global context. The Triennial provides an internationally recognized platform for these artists to push the boundaries of their respective art practices and celebrates the power of art to underscore our common humanity amidst this moment of divisiveness and disruption. We hope that during this moment when discrimination against Asian Americans is at a historic high, that We Do Not Dream Alone can offer much needed solace through the healing potential of art to unite and empower. This initiative was co-curated by myself and my predecessor, Mr. Boon Hui Tan, who was the founding artistic director of the Asia Society Triennial. I'd also like to acknowledge Dr. Agnes Shu Cheng for her leadership role as executive chair of the Asia Society Triennial and chair of the steering committee. For our members who are tuning in this evening, thank you so much for your steadfast support of our work, especially now. Your generosity nourishes our resolve to persevere despite these challenging times. And for those of you who are new to Asia Society, we encourage you to become involved. Membership details may be accessed on our website. This ambitious undertaking would not be possible without the support of our many sponsors and partners, and I'd like to especially acknowledge the support of the Andrew W. Mellon Foundation for tonight's performance. Please enjoy Fragility Etudes. Following the performance, please join us for a discussion with the artists moderated by Sarah McCaffery, Manager of Interdisciplinary Arts at Asia Society Museum, New York. So, thank you and good evening.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us for the premiere of Fragility Etudes. My name is Sarah McCaffery, and I'm the manager of Interdisciplinary Arts at Asia Society Museum, New York. It's my immense pleasure to introduce Susie Ibarra, who will join me for discussion. Susie Ibarra is a Philippine ex-composer, drummer, percussionist, and sound artist who creates live and immersive music that invites people to connect to their natural and built environments. Ibarra is passionate about working to preserve and support Indigenous music and culture. She's also passionate about advocating to preserve freshwater towers through sound recording and research around glaciers and fresh water. Ibarra is a 2020 National Geographic Explorer in Storytelling, a 2019 United States Artist Fellow in Music, and a 2018 Asian Cultural Council Scholar supported by the Rockefeller Foundation. And in addition, Susie is a great friend of Asia Society, and we are so delighted to premiere this newest work of hers, Fragility Etudes. And with that, Susie, please join me in the Zoom space.
Hi, Sarah. Thank you for having me. I'm just so excited to premiere this work with you all.
Yes, we're so excited to have been able to present Fragility Etudes. And I want to acknowledge that Fragility Etudes is really another chapter of an ongoing multi-year project that we embarked on when we first commissioned you to create a work in 2018. And we were kind of chatting about this beforehand, that this is now the fourth iteration within the Fragility Project. You know, in the past, we've collaborated with institutions such as Pioneer Works, Harvest Works, and Governor's Island. And now you've had this fabulous collaboration with Mass Mocha. So it really has spanned years and many different places. So it's a delight to be able to talk about Fragility Etudes in this specific piece and hear more about the process behind it. And I thought a good place to start to enter this work was to talk about the composition of the work. And I wanted to hear more about your shaping of the scores, and specifically how fragility and the concept of fragility is coming through.
Oh, yes. So these scores have definitely evolved, because this particular work is 6 solos and then ensemble pieces, which I am also leading with conduction. That's something, the conduction work is something that I do in my performative creative practice, but I do change out the compositions and the motifs. So this began as a study in what was inspired by the glass physics equation of fragility, which is viscosity, the rate at which glass can change from a liquid to a solid, or vice versa. And I just felt when I was playing originally a glass instrument that inspired this, I really related to it in terms of polyrhythms. So this is something that I was continually listening to in this journey and exploration of the music, in this multi-year project with you all, and how this would sound like. What would this look like? How does it feel like when it's in an ensemble setting? If it's only a duo or a trio, if it's 6-piece, and if there's a soloist. I think particularly to create this iteration of Fragility Etudes and these pieces with multimedia artist Yuka Honda, who filmed it, and which is so amazing. I think what's interesting is that we have these soloists, and we're walking this story, and then we end up with the ensemble, and it's something that we have been dealing with during the pandemic as well, that we have a kind of isolation and we are alone, and then we have these different ways in which we are back in communication with each other, and and together, whether we're in a physical space, whether we're in a virtual space. And how does that connection and the interdependence of us and each other, how does that relate, and how do you create and make music in that? So I think these things are in my mind when I'm thinking about the pieces. I'm not thinking about them so much, as we talked about earlier, literally. Well, those concepts is kind of these several years of researching these concepts, and then you sort of put them away and create the work and see how it will influence it in the moment. But they are rhythmic studies, so I am writing phrases that may relate back and forth, even if it's a soloist who is playing this and then they are developing the phrases and improvising off of it, or if I am conducting the ensemble with bringing in different phrases to create the piece.
Thank you for sharing that. And you have described these etudes or these studies as emerging into a world of sound that reflects humanity's interdependence and mutual existence. So I do want to go back to kind of what you were saying earlier, that you created this work during the pandemic, which we're still living through. How did that experience and what we continue to experience affect how you're thinking about interdependence and how all of the musicians and all of your artistic collaborators came together? How has interdependence evolved?
So it's really interesting because these were all words that were in vocabulary for study for this piece, and then COVID hit and these became very popular words. Interdependence, something that people started to focus on, and also fragility, which took on many different meanings. So that was really interesting to me. You know, that the work could have all of a sudden other lenses that we perhaps didn't anticipate when you first would make that. As far as interdependence and going back to, say, polyrhythms, we're all connected, and it's like we have these different rhythms that are interacting at the same time, and we may not always be aware of it. I think this moment invites us and asks us to be aware of it, and also allows us to have a reflection of more awareness of that when we're normally just in our daily practice and maybe not paying attention to that. In the creation of this work, I think very much this was something that was interdependent. When I spoke to Yuka Honda about this and was reimagining how I would create this work, as in the Triennial, how everything had shifted because of COVID. And I think our interdependent ideas and thoughts and dreams about it connected. And also, when she said, I really could imagine it in a space larger that could bring out a certain kind of magic in it. So she was the one who actually recommended perhaps Masmoka could be a good partner in residence for this, to create this new iteration of the music film of Fragility Etudes. And very grateful to Joe Thompson and Nels Klein, and also to Sue Killam on this, and reimagining this in that way, and being able to create new compositions that existed site-specific, and then also emerged new onto the screen.
Yeah, and I wanted to speak about that because in the film, the relationship between the artworks and the music, they're so powerful. And as you use the word magic, like I really did feel that. And sometimes it's maybe an aesthetic resonance between, you know, the tenorion that Yuka was playing, and the lights of that reflecting in the lights of the Spencer Finch installation. And then there are also some other aesthetic interplays between the instruments and the artworks. And then some, are in addition to aesthetic, a mood and a whole world that's being created. So I would love to hear more about when the Fragility Ensemble was in residency at Mass MoCA. How did these encounters between music, musician, and artworks change the piece or evolve it? I would love to hear more about that process.
Sure. I mean, it's such a tremendously huge and beautiful space at Mass MoCA. And we were so fortunate to be able to have permission to also film in the galleries as well as Hunter Theater. Just magical. I mean, the theater we set up in the center, even though usually it would be on the stage, and they staged us all in the center, so it became a much larger black box. And Yuka covered it with a certain cloth, everything, even the piano lid and the floor, so that the reflection and the lighting would be of a specific way. It just kind of gave a kind of brilliance and a light to that. Mass MoCA walked us through certain galleries that they felt that we perhaps could ask permission to film in, and we chose certain rooms. So there was the Soloist retrospective drawings. One was the Blue Walls for Robert Ichiabri-Lowe's solo with voice and modular synthesizer. And also in the Soloist, we had the Asymmetrical Pyramid, which Daniel Luis Doña performed his viola solo. Jennifer Choi was in front of Ere Sing Sing piece, which is like a cage, as part of his exhibition Them and Us, about borders between Mexico and the U.S. And you could see that amazing cage that had also in the wooden room, and inside there's a bed. Let's see. Oh, and then Blaine de Saint Croix, we were in his exhibition How to Move a Landscape. So Jake Landau's piece was underneath the Alchemist triptych, which is gold, silver, and copper. They're tornadoes, like giant tornadoes. And I'm in front of this piece titled Cold Front, which looks like a glacier, which was made out of I believe he made it out of all recycled materials. And you have a kind of light that's looking like there's water coming down. And then Yuka was filmed in one of Spencer Finch's rooms, right, with all of the lights and all of that. And so we walked that, and Yuka and I discussed it about what could be really wonderful. And also, when each artist got into the space, I think that kind of attention for their solo, and to have that with the filmmakers focusing on how to create this moment, and a kind of site-specific feeling of, oh, I'm playing in resonance to this space, and what does it give to the etude? It definitely brings another connection. There's another kind of interdependence. There's another kind of connection. You think you may have this or moving in this rhythm, but there's another thing in the environment that's going to encircle that, and you're going to have to connect to, or you're going to fight with it, right? If we step into an environment, we're definitely going to have an experience and connect to it, or we're going to battle it.
Right. And what was so nice to hear is that you all were in residency there. So it wasn't as if an artist was paired with an artwork and then there was a straight into filming process. There seems to have been an opportunity for play and for development. So could you speak more about that, like the encounter and how it evolved over the process of the residency?
Well, we were still in COVID, so first it was Zoom meetings, right? And just trying to schedule to get Yuka and I in so we could walk space and do prep. And so we did that, and that was really hugely helpful so that so she could design the whole run of the film session, how that would be, and we could make these artistic choices of which rooms we would love to ask if we could film in to make this happen, and that we could ask with their tech team, what's possible. And a lot is possible because they are used to workshopping and having in residence different kinds of productions. So we weren't in residence when we actually did the film shoot. It was only 2 day shoot, but like it is in many film shoots, you have to prep ahead of time before that.
Right. That makes sense. And for this project, the ensemble was a bit different. You had different musicians that took part in this. You had different instrumentation. So I wondered if you could talk about the ensemble and what you were exploring with these different sounds.
Sure. I mean, I think I have musicians in there who I have played a long time with, some musicians that I've played a little bit with, and some that I was playing with for the first time. And it's actually great energy to have that. It's kind of like generational music and what comes out of that. Also, what happened with this particular ensemble of musicians is now with this 6-piece ensemble, I had sections. So I had the string section, I had a percussion section, and I had electronics section. And that, I think, also gave, strength to the individuals in each of these sections to come out both as a soloist and as a section. It just worked really well. Now with the higher registers, with the violin and the viola, and also with Robert's voice, because he doubles his voice and modular synthesizer. There's times where I think we had talked about these movements of these lines or the melodies when 3 of them are there, and you're not really sure. Maybe at moments you're sure who is playing what, but at some moments maybe not, and it's very beautiful.
Yes, that interconnectedness is even there in those melodies, and it's hard to discern where the individual sounds are coming from. So yeah, it was just gorgeous and stunning how it all came together in the ensemble. Throughout the Fragility project, you explore different ways of conducting the ensemble. There were times when you conducted the ensemble, and in past iterations, you invited the audience to participate and conduct members of the ensemble. So we've had that experience for the Fragility project. And so for this iteration, could you talk more about the conducting? Because we can see you very clearly holding up your fingers and kind of signaling specific numbers. So can you share more about how that works?
Yes, and I'm sorry, I would have brought a score. I forgot to bring a score. So basically there's a score with motifs, and I've got it numbered or lettered. So I'm cueing numbers from different phrases that I'm asking them to play. And then I may also ask one of the instrumentalists or vocalists to improvise on that. And then I may bring them in and out in the moment. So I'm shaping the composition in the moment with them.
Right. And you're not only shaping it by conducting, but you are also playing as well. So how do you navigate those roles?
I'm just listening all the time, and I think, there's a moment I think there should be some percussion or drums with this. I can really feel it. I mean, that's definitely, I feel it as we're shaping this music as an ensemble. So that's when I'll come in. It can be tricky at times because then I may have to stop to cue somebody out, or the dynamics. I want to shift the dynamics, or even like sometimes I might shift tempo or something.
Right. Yeah, no, that makes sense. Always listening and adapting. And I wanted to ask, since we're coming up at the end of our time, or close to the end of our time here, how do you see Fragility Etudes fitting within the journey of the Fragility Project of the whole? And like, what have been your main takeaways or insights from the creation of Fragility Etudes?
Oh, wow. I think I'm going to need more time since it's just premiered to really be able to properly answer that in a reflection. But initially, right now, thinking about that, um, I mean, there are initial ideas in the research and in the initial performative research too that have streamlined and stayed through there. What I'm happy about is that it had an evolution of an experience and that these concepts could move into new musical compositions but still exist with that, not have to be literal, but definitely be informative and inspirational for that. um, it's very different in creating a music film than creating a piece like this for live performance, which we also, for example, the last time it was also a participatory piece, right, for audience. And so to imagine and dream about that together with Yuka, that was really something that stretched the piece, and that I had to allow myself to be open and welcome in new things and see how am I going to compose with these elements of creativity, both visual and audio. How is that going to happen? Because maybe, working on this multi-year piece, I might have gotten attached to certain things that were really wonderful, and understanding that it's okay. I could be attached to that, but I can still let it go. And it's a time now, really recognizing it is a time that I need to be very open. So I trusted in that way, and I trusted Yuka in that way, to be open and to how we could invite something new into this, and how that would shape and influence my compositions.
Right, right. And what a tremendous journey it's been, and really a tremendous body of work that you and all of your collaborators have embarked on. So I want to congratulate you on
Thank
the
you.
Fragility Project in its entirety, and also the premiere of Fragility Etudes. And is there anything else that you would like to share with the audience before we head off?
I just want to say my heartfelt thanks to Asia Society, to you and everyone. It's been a tremendous journey. I've learned a lot. It's been 4 years.
Yes.
And I also want to extend my thanks to Mass Mocha for the residency and helping to realize and create this project, and to everyone all of the performers. Wow, just love them. They were fantastic. Yeah, love them. And my very special thanks to Yuka. Yuka,
Yeah.
yeah.
And what's next for Fragility? Do you have plans or
Well, we're thinking about and going to be in discussion of how we can bring this. I think the realization of the music in the film, it really came to a realization, and we're now ready to perform it live. I could see that very much. So hopefully we're in discussion to imagine if it could be possible to premiere it in the Hunter Theater where we filmed it, because it fits so well in there. Um, and I could definitely see this piece touring in very special places. Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, it's so lovely to hear that, you're already envisioning and dreaming, the future of this project. And, we are always so happy to support your work, and it's been tremendous. So I want to thank you so much, Susie, and congratulations to you and your entire artistic team. And I want to thank everyone who joined us this evening. Thank you for joining us for the premiere, and I hope you have a good night.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you, Susie.